In today's episode, we're examining 5 deadly big cat encounters that turned routine activities into nightmares. From a security guard facing a massive Siberian tiger during a storm, to a survival instructor confronting a desperate mountain predator. But first, we start in California, where one photographer's perfect shot became her last. It was September 15, 2016, in the rugged terrain of Angeles National Forest, California. The San Gabriel Mountains stretched endlessly under the golden hour light, their peaks casting long shadows across the chaparral-covered slopes. A narrow turnout along the winding mountain road provided visitors with sweeping views of the wilderness below, where dense brush and scattered boulders created perfect hiding spots for the region's most elusive predators. Anna Fox, a 26-year-old freelance wildlife photographer, had driven to this remote overlook with 2 hiking companions to capture the last light of day for a clear wildlife photograph. Known for her ambitious approach to capturing California's wildlife, Anna had built her reputation photographing deer and coyotes across the state's national forests. Her friends, both weekend hikers in their mid-20s, preferred the safety of established trails and maintained a more cautious attitude toward wildlife encounters. They had come to the overlook primarily for the scenic sunset views. While nearby trailheads had posted warnings about recent mountain lion activity, their turnout had no signs visible. The group's excitement peaked when they spotted a large mountain lion approximately 30 yards away, moving between the chaparral and granite outcroppings below the road. The mountain lion appeared intermittently through the thick brush, providing tantalizing glimpses that had Anna reaching for her camera equipment. Her companion suggested remaining safely inside their vehicle with the windows down for photography, but the windshield's reflection and angle made clear shots nearly impossible. Mountain lions are solitary ambush predators, most active at dawn and dusk. Adult males typically weigh 110 to 150 pounds and measure about 6.5 to 7.5 feet in total length. They rely on silent movement and short, powerful bursts at close range, using a rapid leap followed by a controlling bite to the neck to quickly incapacitate their prey. As the golden light began to fade, Anna made the fateful decision to exit the passenger side of the vehicle for an unobstructed photograph. She stepped onto the narrow shoulder, raising her camera toward where the mountain lion had last been visible. The animal had moved below the road grade, using the natural drainage and dense cover to mask its approach. Within moments of Anna leaving the vehicle, movement in the brush signaled the predator closing the distance along the concealed route. Witnesses only saw the initial movement in the brush before the lion lunged upward toward the road. Her companions had stayed inside the vehicle, and from their position, they only saw sudden movement in the brush before losing sight of her behind the road's slight drop-off. Investigators later determined, from drag marks and disturbed soil, that the animal closed the final distance from a concealed position before making contact from behind. Evidence indicated the encounter ended quickly. Marks on the ground and on her clothing indicated the lion made multiple contact attempts near her upper neck during the brief struggle. Her displaced camera equipment and the clawed tears in her jacket indicated the force of the initial contact and where the lion's claws struck her. Her neck injuries showed the lion secured a controlling bite early in the attack. The exact sequence inside the brush wasn't witnessed, but the injuries indicated a sustained neck bite consistent with typical mountain lion killing behavior. Drag marks showed the lion pulled her downslope into denser vegetation afterward, following its usual pattern of moving prey to covered ground before feeding. Her companions called 911 and dispatch notified park rangers and wildlife officers. They remained inside the vehicle as instructed until responders reached the turnout, then provided witness statements before being escorted out of the area for their safety. However, the remote location and approaching darkness made immediate rescue attempts impossible. Search teams located her remains 2 days later in dense cover, roughly 70 to 100 yards downslope, where the lion had dragged and cached the body under a layer of brush and debris, consistent with typical mountain lion feeding behavior. The incident prompted increased patrols in the area and additional warning signage advising visitors about mountain lion activity. Her family was notified by authorities, and the university later coordinated procedural support for student wildlife researchers following the case review. Wildlife officers tracked the lion confirmed to be responsible and removed it from the area, following standard state protocols for human attack incidents. Park officials also updated visitor guidance, encouraging groups of 3 or more to stay together when traveling through known high-risk zones. While mountain lions stalk California's wilderness, a more dangerous predator lurked behind reinforced barriers at a Texas sanctuary. A security guard would soon discover that even the most secure facilities can fail during violent storms. It was March 22, 2017, at a private big cat sanctuary in East Texas. The 50-acre facility housed dozens of rescued tigers and lions behind multiple security systems. That evening, a severe thunderstorm brought torrential rain and lightning strikes that would test every safety protocol the sanctuary had carefully developed over years of operation. Jude Walker, a 34-year-old night security guard, had maintained an impeccable safety record during his 3 years at the facility. A former military police officer, Jude applied methodical discipline to his civilian work that had earned him respect from colleagues and management alike. His insomnia made night shifts preferable, and he took pride in never missing scheduled rounds or safety checks. The sanctuary typically maintained a 3-person night crew, but 2 keepers had called in sick with flu, leaving only Jude and an on-call keeper monitoring backup generators as the storm intensified. Earlier communications reported tripped breakers and gate controllers requiring frequent reboots due to power surges affecting the entire electrical grid. The sanctuary housed Sasha, a massive male Siberian tiger rescued from a defunct circus operation. The animal had lived at the facility for 5 years, adapting well to structured routines and daily feeding schedules. However, severe weather made the big cats restless, and Sasha paced anxiously as thunder rolled across the Texas countryside. Siberian tigers are the largest living cat subspecies, with males reaching 10 feet long and weighing 500 to 580 pounds. These apex predators possess incredible strength, capable of dragging prey twice their weight over considerable distances. Their retractable claws and powerful canine teeth make them formidable hunters. Unlike other big cats that kill with throat bites, tigers employ brutal approaches, using massive paws to deliver devastating blows before inflicting multiple bite wounds. Their hunting instincts remain razor-sharp in captivity, triggered by sudden movements or perceived territorial threats. At 2 a.m., Jude began his logged perimeter inspection despite worsening conditions. High winds had brought down tree limbs, and power failures disabled security systems throughout the compound. Approaching the tiger enclosures, his flashlight revealed damage to the outer mesh fencing where an oak branch had bent the chain link material. Focused on assessing structural integrity, Jude knelt beside the fence with his back toward the enclosure area. The electronic lock securing Sasha's primary gate had suffered a critical failure during the storm. Post-incident inspection found the latch misaligned from storm-related damage, combined with an electrical failure in the locking mechanism, creating a small gap the tiger was able to push through. The agitated tiger's weight against the compromised gate caused the damaged latch to give way completely, allowing the predator to move from his inner enclosure into the buffer zone between barriers. What happened next can only be reconstructed from the physical evidence discovered the following morning. The scene revealed that Jude had been attacked from behind while examining fence damage. Forensic analysis of the site showed drag marks in the mud leading from the outer fence toward the enclosure, indicating the attack began at the fence line. The pattern of injuries told a devastating story. Deep parallel claw marks across Jude's shoulders and back suggested the initial strike came from behind. Severe lacerations on his forearms and hands indicated defensive attempts to protect himself. The most catastrophic wounds were concentrated on his neck and torso, consistent with a tiger's typical attack pattern. The medical examiner's report, completed days later, documented the full extent of the trauma. Multiple vertebrae had been crushed, major blood vessels severed, and vital organs damaged by the crushing force of the attack. The combination of massive blood loss, spinal trauma, and organ damage would have been rapidly fatal. Storm noise masked any sounds of the struggle, and Jude's body remained undiscovered until dawn, when the day shift arrived to find the horrific scene. The on-call keeper, working in a distant generator building, heard nothing over the thunder and equipment noise. The incident triggered a comprehensive investigation by state wildlife authorities and federal agencies overseeing exotic animal facilities. Sanctuary officials implemented immediate security upgrades and revised protocols requiring dual-gate lock confirmation during severe weather conditions. Jude's family filed a wrongful death lawsuit, which was settled out of court, while the facility faced temporary closure pending mandatory safety improvements. The incident prompted the facility to implement additional storm-related safety measures, and regional inspectors later recommended similar upgrades for other sanctuaries in the area. From controlled captive environments, our next story ventures into the Amazon rainforest, where a marine biologist would encounter a jaguar in its natural hunting grounds along Brazil's treacherous rivers. It was July 8, 2015, deep within the Amazon rainforest of Brazil, where a swollen tributary cut through dense jungle canopy. 3 days of relentless rainfall had transformed the waterway into a raging torrent, carrying debris downstream at dangerous speeds. The research station sat 650 feet from the riverbank, connected to study sites by narrow trails disappearing into impenetrable green walls. Willa Jensen, a 29-year-old marine biologist, had arrived 18 months earlier, documenting fish migration patterns during the rainy season. Her obsessive dedication to data collection earned academic recognition, but also concern from colleagues who worried about her tendency to prioritize research over safety. 2 teammates, a botanist and a field technician, had urged her to postpone the river crossing until water levels receded. Recent entries in the research log documented fresh jaguar tracks and scat near water sources, evidence of increased big cat activity, as flooding concentrated wildlife along remaining dry corridors. The morning presented Willa with a critical decision. Her spawning survey points lay across the swollen tributary, accessible only by crossing a fallen cecropia tree that stretched precariously over churning water. The massive trunk had fallen during recent storms and now served as the only bridge to her research site. Dawn conditions brought low visibility, while wildlife concentrated along river margins to drink and hunt. Jaguars represent the apex predator of South American rainforests, ranking as the 3rd largest cat species globally. These muscular hunters can weigh up to 250 pounds and measure 6 feet from nose to tail. Unlike other big cats that suffocate prey with throat bites, jaguars possess the strongest bite force of any feline, capable of crushing turtle shells and caiman skulls. Their preferred killing method involves a devastating bite directly through the skull or spine. Jaguars are exceptional swimmers, equally comfortable hunting on land or in water, making them uniquely dangerous near river systems. Their spotted coats provide perfect camouflage in dappled jungle light. Willa began her crossing at first light, stepping carefully onto the slippery bark surface. Her waterproof research pack, weighing 40 pounds, shifted her center of gravity as she navigated the treacherous bridge. Halfway across, floating debris struck the trunk, causing it to roll slightly and forcing her to crouch for stability. The motion disturbed the water below, catching the attention of a jaguar that had been moving along the riverbank within nearby cover. The jaguar moved through the riverside vegetation, using the heavy brush and rising water to stay concealed as it closed the distance from the bank. As she regained her footing and prepared to continue across, the jaguar positioned itself directly beneath the crossing point. The attack began when the jaguar surged from the riverbank, rising through the shallow water beside the fallen trunk. Its forelimbs locked onto her legs with sudden force, pulling her off the slick surface and into the torrent below. Razor-sharp claws sank deep into Willa's legs and lower torso as the jaguar forced her into the churning tributary. The 40-pound research pack immediately dragged her toward the bottom as the animal maintained its grip. Jaguars are strong swimmers, and the rising water gave the animal an advantage as it pulled Willa toward the muddy riverbank where it could maintain firmer footing. Her attempts to reach the surface were thwarted by the jaguar's weight and the pack's downward pull. Once in shallow water near the bank, the jaguar repositioned for its signature killing bite. The jaguar secured a crushing bite high on her back near the spine, consistent with the species' typical killing method. Later examination showed fractured ribs, a punctured lung, and extensive internal bleeding caused by the force of the bite. Forensic findings indicated severe internal trauma and rapid hemorrhaging, which would have caused loss of consciousness within moments. The jaguar maintained its crushing grip until all movement ceased, then dragged her body onto the muddy bank and into dense vegetation. Her teammates initiated search procedures when she failed to return by evening. Heavy rain and rising water levels delayed the effort, and the flooded terrain limited how far they could safely travel in the dark. At first light, station staff coordinated with local authorities, organizing a grid search along both sides of the tributary. Over the next 3 days, teams worked through dense vegetation and unstable riverbanks until they located her partially consumed remains beneath a cluster of fallen logs, where the jaguar had dragged and cached the body in accordance with typical feeding behavior. Brazilian wildlife authorities investigated the incident by interviewing staff and reviewing field logs, noting gaps in communication and safety planning during flood conditions. The station was required to strengthen its protocols, adding a mandatory buddy system, scheduled check-ins, and limits on solo fieldwork in areas with confirmed jaguar activity. While jaguars dominate South American waterways, the vast savannas of Africa harbor an even more formidable predator. Safari guide Bo Foster would soon discover that even experienced professionals can underestimate the coordinated hunting prowess of a lion pride. It was November 14, 2018, in the remote wilderness of Kalahari Transfrontier Park, Botswana, where endless stretches of red sand and scattered acacia trees created natural corridors for Africa's apex predators. The dry season had reached its harshest point, shrinking waterholes and drawing wildlife into narrow bands of nighttime activity. Bo Foster had chosen one of the park's designated but unfenced camping areas for a private family expedition, confident in his ability to manage any risks the bush presented. Bo, a 31-year-old adventure guide with more than a decade of experience, had led countless safari groups through southern Africa. His record was spotless, his clients praised him, and he was accustomed to navigating dangerous terrain with calm precision. That confidence, however, had grown into a quiet sense of invulnerability. His wife and 2 young children, joining him on such a remote trip for the first time, trusted his judgment completely. Earlier that afternoon, park staff conducted a routine briefing emphasizing strict rules: remain inside tents and vehicles after dark, avoid loud noises, and keep food sealed. Bo knew the rules by heart and had delivered the same warnings to tourists many times before, but familiarity had dulled their urgency. The Foster family set up their small camp in a clearing bordered by knee-high scrub. Their tent stood at the center, with their vehicle parked to one side. By dusk, the temperature dropped sharply, and the sounds of the Kalahari night took over. Distant roars, soft grunts, and the rhythmic calls of nocturnal birds. The landscape felt vast and alive, but deceptively calm. African lions are the only truly social big cats, forming family groups known as prides. Females, or lionesses, do most of the hunting and are capable of operating cooperatively when targeting herd animals. Yet most human encounters involve only 1 or 2 individuals acting independently. Lionesses can weigh nearly 300 to 400 pounds and rely on short, explosive bursts of speed and powerful forelimbs to subdue prey. Their hunting peaks at night, when darkness offers reliable cover. Around midnight, Bo woke to the faint sound of branches cracking somewhere beyond the tent. At first, he dismissed it as shifting wind or grazing antelope, but another heavier footstep followed. Then a slow brushing sound moved around the perimeter of the clearing. The wildlife of the Kalahari was always active after dark, but this pattern felt deliberate. A small group of 3 lionesses had been trailing migrating prey along a dry riverbed. Their route brought them near the campsite, where lingering scents, food, fire, and human presence caught their attention. The lionesses paused in the scrub, assessing. 2 remained deeper in the vegetation, while 1 drifted closer to investigate the movement she sensed from the tent. Inside, Bo listened. His instincts as a guide told him to stay put, but years of handling dangerous encounters gave him a misplaced confidence that he could read lion behavior well enough to scare it off. Not wanting to alarm his sleeping family, he unzipped the tent quietly and stepped outside into near total darkness, carrying only a small flashlight. The beam illuminated a lioness crouched roughly 20 feet away. She froze, eyes reflecting the narrow cone of light. The other 2 lionesses stayed farther back, unseen, but later confirmed by tracks left in the sand. The moment Bo stepped forward, the lioness reacted. She closed the distance in a short burst, striking with enough force to knock him off balance. Evidence later showed deep lacerations to his upper body from claws and crushing trauma at points of contact. The attack was fast, typical of a lioness responding to perceived threats at close range. Bo attempted to push himself upright, but the lioness maintained pressure, overpowering him within seconds. The injuries revealed a combination of clawing and biting consistent with a single lioness acting alone. The other 2 lionesses stayed along the vegetation line and did not engage physically. Tracks confirmed they maintained distance throughout the brief struggle. Nearby campers later reported hearing distress sounds, but were unsure of what occurred until morning. Inside the tent, Bo's family remained frozen in place, afraid to make noise or open the tent flap with lions still in the area. When the lioness released and moved away, she returned to the cover of the scrub, leaving the clearing silent again. Rangers responded at dawn after receiving radio reports from other campers who heard calls for help but could not safely approach during the night. They found Bo near the edge of the clearing, and tracks indicated the lioness had retreated shortly after the confrontation. The medical examiner documented extensive trauma consistent with a lion attack and rapid blood loss. The scene confirmed that only one lioness had made physical contact, while the other two remained on the perimeter. Following the incident, park staff reviewed nighttime safety procedures. They added mandatory radio check-ins for campers at unfenced sites and increased evening patrols during the dry season when wildlife movement peaks. The case became part of updated safari safety training, underscoring that even seasoned professionals can misjudge the unpredictability of nocturnal predators. From Africa's coordinated pack hunters, our final story moves to North America's mountain wilderness, where a survival instructor would face a different kind of predator entirely, one driven to desperation by winter's harsh grip on the Cascade Mountains. It was January 18, 2018, in the snow-covered Cascade Mountains of Washington state, where 3 feet of fresh powder and sub-zero temperatures had transformed the landscape into a frozen wasteland. The harsh winter had driven most wildlife to lower elevations, creating desperate competition for remaining food sources. Cleomatis had ventured into this unforgiving environment as part of an advanced winter survival training course. Cleomatis, a 28-year-old outdoor survival instructor, had built her reputation completing the most challenging wilderness exercises that others abandoned. Her competitive nature and former military background drove her to excel where others failed. She was participating in a week-long winter certification program, culminating in a solo 48-hour challenge, requiring participants to build a shelter and find food using only basic tools. The course leader remained at base camp, monitoring conditions and maintaining radio contact. During the briefing, she had mentioned increased cougar reports along lower elevation drainages, as severe winter had forced these predators to expand hunting territories. Cleo had been tracking rabbit trails through deep snow for hours, following intricate paths small mammals carved through the forest. The temperature had dropped to 5 degrees Fahrenheit, and she had been without food for 36 hours. Her plan involved setting wire snares at strategic locations along active rabbit runs. Cougars are North America's most adaptable big cats, surviving in diverse environments from rainforests to snow-covered mountains. These solitary hunters typically weigh between 80 and 200 pounds. Winter conditions create extreme stress as primary prey becomes scarce and competition intensifies. Desperate cougars take greater risks and hunt more aggressively, sometimes stalking prey for hours. Their strategy relies on stealth and patience, using natural cover before delivering devastating ambush attacks from behind, targeting the neck with suffocating bites. As Cleo knelt beside a fallen log, examining fresh rabbit droppings, a 110-pound female cougar was moving along the same trail system, gradually closing the distance as their paths converged. Tracks later indicated the cougar had been traveling through that drainage for several days, likely struggling to secure prey in the harsh winter conditions. Using thick forest cover and the uneven terrain, the animal stayed concealed while moving closer to Cleo's position. The dense pine forest provided excellent concealment, with snow-laden branches creating natural blinds that masked the cougar's approach. As Cleo focused on positioning her wire snare, the cougar closed to 30 feet, moving silently through deep snow behind thick tree trunks. The attack came without warning. The cougar emerged suddenly from behind a snow-covered pine and closed the short distance in a quick burst, landing on Cleo's upper back with enough force to knock her forward into the snow. The impact drove Cleo face first into deep, powdery snow, while the cougar's claws immediately sank through heavy winter clothing into the layers beneath. The impact knocked wind from Cleo's lungs and drove her face deep into loose snow, creating a life-threatening situation as powder filled her nose and mouth. Its claws tore through multiple layers of winter clothing, causing deep injuries along her upper back and shoulders. Unlike typical cougar attacks that rely on a precise neck bite, the cougar's weakened condition and winter stress made the encounter chaotic, resulting in multiple injuries as it tried to maintain its grip through her heavy winter layers. Cleo's defense attempts were hampered by her face-down position in deep snow and the cougar's weight pressing on her back. Each time she tried lifting her head to breathe, loose powder filled her airways, while the struggle caused additional injuries as the cat attempted to reposition and hold its grip in the deep snow. The combination of severe trauma from the attack, Restricted breathing from being pinned face down in deep snow and rapidly dropping body temperature caused her condition to deteriorate quickly. She lost consciousness within moments due to the injuries and restricted breathing, and she did not recover. When Cleo failed her scheduled radio check-ins, search teams deployed despite worsening weather conditions. Heavy snowfall slowed progress, and deep drifts limited visibility, forcing teams to move cautiously along drainage routes and known animal paths. After several days of searching, trackers followed cougar prints through a series of tree wells and located her remains partially covered by branches and snow, consistent with typical caching behavior. The incident prompted a comprehensive review of winter survival protocols, resulting in GPS tracking requirements and frequent check-ins during solo exercises. Cleo's family established a foundation promoting enhanced wilderness safety measures. Thanks for watching. Want to see more? Click on your screen now.